Black folks had someone or a number of people to look up to, and white people had to realize that these were people of substance that they had to deal with. And so all of those things made a big difference.
Well, that was former Prichard Mayor A.J. Cooper talking about integrating the city's workforce.
When Cooper was elected, the city was still a segregated community, despite having a large African-American population.
Cooper recently spoke with our Eric Reynolds about those days and how the influence of some incredible people prepared him for his 2 historic terms in office. Here's the interview.
I guess to be a politician, you have to be an optimist and believe in the good that people can do. So I'm optimistic about Prichard.
A.J. Cooper was in his late 20s when he first believed in what Prichard could be. At 28, he defeated Prichard's white incumbent mayor, a historic win as the first ever African-American to do so in a white-majority southern city. Growing up in Mobile in the early 1950s, Cooper was keenly aware of the challenges.
The experience of going to a Catholic school and learning that that school was segregated, and me asking my father why that was, and his having to explain that to me. And I think that was the first, real understanding I began to have.
His father, an insurance executive and civic-minded businessman, showed him courage in difficult times. When integration was finally a legal option, his father attempted to enroll Cooper's oldest brother in McGill Institute.
Well, Archbishop Tulin became so angry that not only would he not let my father register my brother, he refused to let my brother go to Heart of Mary High School either. And that was so outrageous. The memory of that, stuck with me, and my father's courage in doing it.
Like his brother, A.J. left Mobile to attend a Catholic high school up north. He also finished a Catholic university, Notre Dame, and then got a law degree at New York University. A leader and an activist like his dad, Cooper founded the Black American Law Students Association, which still exists today. His political and leadership skills were noticed by Senator Robert Kennedy's presidential campaign.
Did minority recruitment all around the country. Finally wound up in Los Angeles, where I ran the Watts campaign headquarters. In terms of mentors, in terms of someone to model yourself after, there was no one better than Bobby Kennedy. I think he would have been an outstanding president. Had a much better feel, I think, for what was happening in terms of race relations. Vernon was one of my mentors, a hero in my opinion. Vernon graduated from Brooklyn Law School and came home when he was the only black lawyer in Mobile. Vernon had set high standards and really had represented people who had no representation.
Cooper became a partner of Crawford's law firm. The Prichard branch of the NAACP was one of his clients. Cooper says in the early 1970s, Prichard was a very segregated city.
It's a place where George Wallace would come every Labor Day to give his State of the State address. It had a very active Klan. They had maybe 2 or 3 black employees. John Langham, who is another hero of mine, was the president of the NAACP. John suggested that I run for mayor, so I decided to do that.
Cooper raised enough money. Friends from the Kennedy campaign came to help, and the Cooper campaign did some things never done before in Prichard.
Billboards, for example, telephone banks, polling, voter registration in a massive way, lots of door-to-door leaflet distribution.
Cooper won the election and went to work.
It was daunting too, because Prichard did not have, as it doesn't today, much of an industrial tax base. In the 1950s, the City Council of the City of Prichard and the mayor permitted Mobile to annex International Paper Company and Scott Paper Company. They formed 80% of Prichard's tax base. Now, why in the world would anyone permit that to happen? The only thing that I can imagine would be graft. So I had to raise most of the money from the federal government. And since I was familiar with that world, I was able to do a good job of bringing tens of millions of dollars to Prichard. Completely redoing the drainage system and paving all of the drains, paving them over. The integration of the workforce of the city was a major accomplishment. Getting black department heads, appointing the first black judge. It meant that black folks had someone or a number of people to look up to, and white people had to realize that these were people of substance that they had to deal with. And so all of those things made a big difference.
With a lifetime of accomplishments, I asked this trailblazing pioneer, how should A.J. Cooper be remembered?
I guess that I was the father of 3 children. I encourage young people to get involved, and that I stood for change, for the better.
In Spanish Fort, Eric Reynolds, Fox 10 News.
Cooper was also a founder and first president of several mayors' organizations, including the National Conference of Black Mayors.
He's worked on Capitol Hill as a congressional chief of staff and assistant to the Secretary of HUD, and as executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation.
Today, he has a law practice in Baldwin County and says that with support from regional industrial leaders, land-rich Prichard could be a gateway city to Mobile County.
Sure.